Are you interested in getting really good video of your paintball games? One of the things you may be considering is getting a paintball camera. And one of the questions that will come up is, how do I mount that camera onto the paintball gun to get the best footage I can? If these are questions you have or have wondered about, this will be the video for you. So when it comes to mounting a camera on a paintball gun, a lot of times what you'll look at is, am I going to mount it on the top, the bottom, or the side? Now the first one we're going to look at is mounting it on the top. The benefits of mounting on the top is, one, it'll make the footage very relatable, and second, it's easy to see the controls. Now when I say relatable, if you look at these photos, a lot of times when we hold paintball guns, we are looking down the top rail of our paintball gun. Now what that means is then if the camera sits on the top rail too, it gives the impression that it's a point of view of the player looking down the barrel as it's shooting. The other part is able to look at the controls. A lot of cameras may have lights or displays, and when you have it on the top, it's easy to see those during the gameplay. So you'll know if your camera's shut off or if it's low on battery, or even if it's on. So that'll give a big benefit so you don't run into headaches later by getting off the field and realizing maybe your camera hasn't been on the whole time. So here are some examples of top mounted camera footage. So we're going to look at number 2 now, which is mounting on the underside. Now there are 3 main benefits for this. One is you get more action shots in relation to ball drop. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. The other part is keeps the top rail clear, so you can put iron sights on it, you can put a scope, and it doesn't just add more weight to the top. The third one is it provides more protection. So when it's sitting underneath, that barrel and the body of the gun protect it from some of the hits. It doesn't make it invulnerable, doesn't make it unhittable. However, it does protect it just a little bit more than if it was sitting right on top of your gun. So now we're going to talk about ball drop in relation to where you mount your camera. So in this picture we have the blue camera on the top with a blue filter showing its kind of field of vision. On the bottom we have a red camera with a red filter showing its field of vision. And then you have the overlapping area that shows where both cameras would be looking. Now at close range where you will not see a lot of ball drop, it does not really matter significantly about whether you have it mounted on the top or bottom. However, where you'll really start seeing it is where you have to angle your gun up. Because when you angle your gun up and you're lobbing a ball, the ball will start straight and then start pulling down toward the earth. Now what happens then is if you have a top-mounted camera, it's going to be moving more quickly out of the frame, and you may even be hitting players out of the frame. With the bottom-mounted camera, you get that little extra distance where you may be able to get those balls and those shots in the frame, more so than you would with the top-mounted camera. The third option we're going to take a look at is a side-mounted camera. The side-mounted camera's benefits are it has a better aspect ratio for posting to social media, and the other part is because it's on the side, it is a little bit more protected than it would be if it was sitting right on top. Now unfortunately I don't have any side-mounted footage because the only time I've mounted the camera on the side is to have it facing back toward me, so it wasn't actually looking down the barrel. Since it's tilted from a landscape to a portrait, it's much easier to get action shots in the frame because most paintball players are taller than they are wide, even when they're crouching, like this picture shows. So when you use this on a side mounted, you're more likely to get the action within it. You will not get more of the whole landscape that you would with either a top or bottom mount, but it works really good, especially for close quarters where most of the players are going to be obviously closer, but that way you can get the whole frame of them in there. So now that we've looked at a top mount, a bottom mount, and a side mount, we had to figure out which one is going to be best for you. So here's one of the things that you need to consider. So first is what's your preferred play? Second, what's your type of games that you play? And third, how do you plan on using the footage? So one of the things when you look at your preferred style or preferred preferences setup, do you want it to be more streamlined? Do you really rather have the camera have the optimal angle? Those are things you want to be aware of. The next thing you want to consider are the types of paintball games you're going to be playing. So for example, if you're going to be playing speedball, it really wouldn't matter to worry about the ball drop, whether it's on the top or bottom. However, you may not want to have a side mount, because if you happen to be snap shooting on that side, when you come out and take your shot, your barrel hasn't actually cleared the bunker. So instead you'll just get footage of the bunker rather than actually what you're shooting at. So again, those are things you really want to consider. It depends on the types of games you're playing. If you're playing big games or big field, you may want to consider more in mounting the camera underneath if you plan on going for longer shots. If you dominantly play round ball in close fields, such as speedball, hyperball, or just smaller fields, it may not matter. You may feel more comfortable with the top mount. Again, depending on what type of game you're playing, may determine on how you set your camera up. The last thing to consider is how do you plan on using the footage? Because the type of footage and the quality of the footage and the aspect ratio will have an effect when it comes to editing, if you wanted to do editing in the first place. So those are things to consider about once you get the footage, what is your intent with the final product? So again, if you're considering getting a camera for this paintball season, I hope this answered some questions or at least gave you some ideas to think about how you might mount it depending on the types of games you play. If you did like it, thank you for watching, and please consider hitting like or subscribe. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I hope that you're able to get onto the field soon.